How you doing, everybody? VParty here for the VPartySports Podcast. We are live at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio in downtown San Jose. We're near the arena. Downtown San Jose, mention the podcast. Receive 10% off your bill if you're coming down to watch NFL Sunday Ticket action. We are here all afternoon. NFL Sunday Ticket action. Our show goes 9:30 to 10:30 on the West Coast. You can download on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to follow along online if you're not in the area. But come on down, 10% off your entire bill if you mention the podcast during NFL Sunday Ticket. I'm VParty. I'm your host. Week 2 here at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. We've already had a game that finished 21-17. The Denver Broncos came back to win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. They improved to 3-5. Jacksonville drops to 2-6. Jacksonville had the lead late in the game on a Travis Etienne touchdown, but Russell Wilson doing what Russell Wilson does, or at least what he has done in the past. He came back and scored down the field, and they were able to get the game-winning touchdown. The game is over right now. Now we've got the continuation of Week 8 to go. Here we go, the continuation of Week 8, full preview of the lines, fantasy football info for your best lineup as we go. If you're in the area, join us live. Mention you heard the podcast and receive 10% off your entire bill during the NFL Sunday Ticket. Here's some fantasy football news for your owners. Chuba Hubbard for Carolina out. Jarvis Landry, these are all out. Corey Davis for the Jets. Chris Boswell, the kicker for the Broncos, he's out. Tyree Jackson as well, too, for the Eagles. Ryan Tannehill, that's Ryan Tannehill right there. And then Matt Ryan, they're both out for Tennessee and Indianapolis. Deebo Samuel, Kyle Juszczyk out for the 49ers. Cam Akers for the Rams. Lazard out for the Packers. Dotson for the Washington Commanders. James Conner for the Arizona Cardinals. And Jamar Chase on Monday night, all out. But in is Devontae Adams. Out is Darren Waller. That was added late as we get to the 1 o'clock kickoffs on the East Coast, 10 o'clock on the West Coast. Again, we're at the Britannia Arms, the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. 10% off your entire bill if you come in and see us. Mention the podcast to the staff. We are set to go here, so let's get to it. We'll give you the best bet segment for the early games in 15 minutes, at 9:45, and you'll be all set to go for the morning games. We'll preview some of the morning games that we have right now. Right now in Dallas, the Cowboys are 10-point favorite, 42.5. Micah Parsons and Ezekiel Elliott questionable. The Chicago Bears traded Robert Quinn to the Eagles. He's active for the Eagles. We'll get to that. The Cowboys come off their win versus Detroit. Bears come off a huge win at New England. The under for the Cowboys is 1-5. Cowboys against the spread, 5-2. The win last week, Dak Prescott's returned back to Dallas in the starting lineup, able to get the Lions going 26-9. So 26-9 last week over Detroit, and of course the Bears put it on the Patriots last week as well. Second game on the board, the Atlanta Falcons -4 versus Carolina. We mentioned Chuba Hubbard out. Carolina off a huge upset over Tampa Bay. They were a 13.5-point dog. If you listened to me last week, I said it's hard to lay 13.5 points on the road. Falcons lost to Cincinnati the first time they didn't cover. The road team in this series has won 4 games. Marcus Mariota, quarterback. No Cordell Patterson. He's on injured reserve. And Chuba Hubbard out for the Carolina Panthers. P.J. Walker going to start for the Panthers. Mayfield still kind of iffy. He's the backup quarterback, but we'll see how it goes for them. So Atlanta, Carolina, go through these 7 games right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers will go into Philadelphia. The Eagles' only undefeated team left at 6-0, but they're only 4-2 against the spread. Pittsburgh 3-2-1 against the spread in their 2-4 season so far. Both teams are 2-4, and the over/under. Chris Boswell, the kicker, out for the Steelers as well too. That's a big loss for them in terms of making it in terms of field goals and extra points. Don't know what Mike Tomlin has in mind. Don't know if they have their kicker yet. We'll try and get the depth chart to see if they've got another kicker active. The Miami Dolphins, they started out 3-0. They've only won 1 of their last 4. Detroit, the offense can score, especially at home. Shut down by Dallas last week, but had opportunities. They're -48 in point differential. Miami, a 3.5-point favorite, 51.5 total, and that's based on the fact the Detroit Lions are 3-0 on the over at home. So Jared Goff has all his receivers. St. Brown in as well for Detroit, and DeAndre Swift is going to play for the Lions as well too. Miami has Tagovailoa back, and they've got their running backs going as well too. So Miami at Detroit, 3.5 for Miami, 51.5 Again, Miami started 3-0. They've only won one of their last four. Very intriguing game in Minnesota. The Vikings are 3.5-point favorites, 48.5 the total. Vikings a 5-1 record, a 3-game lead on Green Bay and Chicago. They had a close game last year in 2021 versus Arizona. They only beat them by 1 point. Arizona was up most of the game. That was in Minnesota. That was a 5.5-point favorite last year. The Cardinals coming off their big win over New Orleans. They're 3-4. They're 3-4 on the season right now. They're in last place in the NFC West. We get to it right here. I'm gonna make sure I get this right here. Arizona Cardinals 3-4, tied with the 49ers. 3-4. Minnesota only 2-4 against the spread. Arizona 4-3 against the spread. Both are 2-4 for terms of overs and unders. But last year was a 34-33 game. This one, the total at 48.5. Minnesota's defense has played well this year, but they have to stop Kyler Murray. And the way they played against the Saints seems to be what the key is to stop Arizona and their offense. All right, the last game of the morning games here on the West Coast. The New England Patriots coming off that bad loss to the Bears. They're -3 at the New York Jets. 40 the total. This is the first time since 2001 that the Jets have had a better record than New England. The Jets are 5-2. The Patriots 3-4. The Jets beat the Broncos despite losing their rookie running back Breece Hall for the rest of the season. They traded for James Robinson from Jacksonville. Turned out to be a good move. Jacksonville had 154 yards for Travis Etienne today, but it wasn't enough as they lost to Denver. Mac Jones back in the starting lineup. Remember, all the fans were booing, looking for Zappe Hour, Tyler Zappe coming in. Bailey Zappe, Tyler Zappe, whatever his name is. Jones starting for the Pats off the Bears lost Monday night. The Bears defense got to them pretty well. We'll see how they do against Dallas. But a 3-point favorite. The Jets at the Jets, 5-2. They're a game back of the Buffalo Bills for 5-1. Buffalo plays tonight. We'll get to the afternoon games in a second. All right. When we come back, we're going to take a break right now. We'll get through all the NFL games again. We'll give you a quick recap, and then in 5 minutes we will have our best bets for this early morning games, and then after the break we'll also go through the afternoon games as well too. But once again on the board tonight, Dallas versus Chicago, -10, 42.5. The Raiders are 1.5 at 48. They're coming off a bye. The Saints lost to Arizona, as we said, 1.5, 48.5. Atlanta -4, 41 versus Carolina. Philadelphia 10.5, 42.5 versus Pittsburgh. Miami 3.5 at Detroit, 51.5 in the Motor City. Minnesota 3.5-point favorite, 5-1 record. Arizona 3-4 coming off their win over the Saints. Minnesota came off their bye week last week. They are 5-1, the 3-game lead over the Bears and the Packers. And the Jets are the Jets are a 3-point underdog against the Patriots. 40 the total. The first time they've had the better record since 2001. Jets 5-2, and the Patriots 3-4. The Jets beat the Broncos, and the Patriots lost to the Bears. All right, back in 30 seconds. We'll have the best bets for the early morning games, and then we'll take a look at the afternoon games. I'm Vasu VParty, live at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. Come on down, mention the podcast, get 10% off your entire bill during the NFL Sunday ticket all day long here at the Brit Sports Pub, downtown San Jose. If you're in the Bay Area, come on down, say hi. Bring your friends down and enjoy all-day football. By the way, the 10% includes alcohol, too. It's the entire bill. So that may make a difference for some of you coming down. 4 games in the afternoon. We'll preview that. We'll get to our best bets after the break. All right, Vasu VParty here with the VParty Sportscast. Back in 30 seconds. Welcome back to the VPartySports Podcast, live from the Brit Sports Pub and Patio, downtown San Jose, about a mile from the Shark Tank, where the San Jose Sharks hockey plays. We're in downtown San Jose. NFL Sunday Ticket, all day long at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. If you're here, welcome. If you're not here, come on down. 10% off your entire bill, including alcohol, if you mention the podcast. So we just went through the morning games, the early games. We'll go through them again here real quick before we get to best bets. Dallas, Chicago, 10-42.5 for the Cowboys. Raiders 1.5 at New Orleans, 48.5. Atlanta 4, Carolina versus Carolina 41. By the way, in that game, didn't mention the road team has won the last 4 games. Might be a little tough for Carolina today, being undermanned. Philadelphia 10.5 versus Pittsburgh. The Eagles, the only undefeated team left, at 6-0, but only 4-2 against the spread. Steelers without their kicker today. Miami 3.5 at Detroit, 51.5. Miami started out 3-0. Now only one of their last 4 they've won. They beat Pittsburgh last Sunday night. Minnesota 3.5 versus Arizona. It's going to be a closer game than I think people think. 3.5 points, a lot for Kyler Murray and that Arizona offense. They can stop the running game for Minnesota. They might have a shot. In the final game, the New England Patriots 3 at the New York Jets 40. First time they've had the better record since 2001. All right, best bets for the early games. Going to go with the Chicago Bears plus 10. The over on the Las Vegas New Orleans game at 48.5. The Arizona Cardinals plus 4. When I thought it was plus 4, it come down to 3.5. The New York Jets plus 3. And I am going to take the Eagles at minus 11. That's going to be a tough call at minus 11. So the Bears are plus 10. The Raiders, Saints over 48.5. Arizona plus 4. The Jets plus 3. And Philadelphia minus 11. All right, we move on to the afternoon games now. We'll give you these bets again a little bit later, but those are the best bets for the early games. All right. We're going to take 30 seconds to come back and preview the afternoon games. We'll give you the best bets for the afternoon as well. Vasu VParty here at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio, 173 West Santa Clara Street, downtown San Jose. If you're in the Bay Area, come on down, watch NFL Sunday Ticket. You get 10% off your entire bill, including alcohol, and enjoy some football during Sunday Ticket days. All right, back in 30 seconds with the VPartySports Podcast. Welcome back to the VPartySports Podcast. Vasu VParty here from the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. Come on down, watch NFL Sunday Ticket. We're in downtown San Jose. Come down and see the staff mention you heard the podcast. 10% off your entire bill, including alcohol. We have our best bet segment for the early games. There you go again. Chicago plus 10. Vegas and New Orleans over 48.5. Arizona plus 4. The Jets plus 3. And the Philadelphia Eagles minus 11 points. All right, we get to the afternoon games. The early games the afternoon games that we have. Tennessee at Houston, big game here in the AFC South. Tennessee one game ahead of Indianapolis, but they have the tiebreaker after beating the Colts twice already this year. We'll get to the Colts game in a second as they're hosting the Washington Commanders. Tennessee a 1-point favorite. Why is they still a favorite? Well, because it's the Houston Texans for one thing. But Houston has a good defense and they've got a good running game. Damian Pierce. That's why it's only a 1-point favorite. The Houston Texans are 1-4-1. Tennessee 4-2. You'd think it'd be a bigger favorite. But here's the reason. Ryan Tannehill, the quarterback for Tennessee, is out. He was ruled out on Friday. Malik Willis, the rookie quarterback, will get his first NFL start. Tennessee on a 4-game win streak. They're 4-2 overall, but 4-2 also against the spread. Houston has played well. They've covered 3-3. They've also pushed against the Bears early in the year as well too. Derrick Henry, big game plans for Tennessee to lead the charge into Houston, but Tennessee -1 at Houston, 39 the total. Don't expect to see a lot of points in this game with Tennessee's defense. They are very physical, and I'm sure they've got a different package for Malik Willis than they do for Ryan Tannehill. Seattle. How about the Seattle Seahawks? They're 4-3. They're leading the NFC West over the Rams, the Niners, and Arizona. They lead the West. They've given up a lot of points. They score a lot of points, but they're 3-point favorite against the New York Giants. 44 the total. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett questionable for the game, but Geno Smith has had a good year for them. And Kenneth Walker the third, replacing Rashad Penny, had 167 yards in the upset at the Chargers last week when they won 37-23. The Seahawks are playing well. 44 the total. Giants don't score a lot, and right now they've got a few issues going on. No Golladay for them as well. They just traded Kadarius Toney to the Kansas City Chiefs, so Daniel Jones is going to have to find some other outlets in terms of receiving for the New York Giants. But they're 6-1. They've won 4 straight. They went into Jacksonville last week, won at the end of the game, kind of like what Denver did today. We'll recap the Denver game a little bit, but the Giants 6-1. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They're still an underdog. They've been an underdog the whole year, and they are. We'll get to this in a second, but I believe that they have a good record against the spread. They're 6-1. They're 6-1 against the spread, 3-0 on the road, 2-5 over and under. So the over/under might be a little tough for them. But Seattle is 4-3 on the over/under, but only 1-2 at home. So a real interesting game here between the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants. 44 the total, Seattle +3. Next one, Indianapolis -3 versus Washington Commanders, 39.5 the total. Colts 3-1, but 2 losses versus Tennessee keep them out of first place. Matt Ryan is out. Sam Erlinger, the former quarterback of Nebraska, gets the start against a pretty good Washington defense. The Colts are 3-4 against the spread. That includes a tie. They were a favorite against Jacksonville in that spread, but only 1-6 on the over/under. This game at 39.5. 2 quarterbacks that try and manage the game. Erlinger for the Colts and Taylor Heineke, who got the win over Green Bay last week at home after Carson Wentz was put on the injured reserve. Commanders 3-4 and 3-4 against the spread, 3-4 on the overs and unders. So Indianapolis, a 3-point favorite at home with Sam Erlinger at quarterback as well. Now the big game of the day, especially out on the West Coast, Los Angeles Rams coming off a bye, San Francisco 49ers coming off 2 losses in a row. 3-3 for the Rams, 49ers are 3-4. 7 straight regular season wins for the Rams for the 49ers over the Rams, but they did lose the NFC Championship game in overtime last January, 20-17. The Rams went on to win the Super Bowl. 3-4 for the 49ers. They've lost 2 in a row to Atlanta on the road, and then Kansas City at home last week. Big losses for San Francisco. Deebo Samuel is out. Kyle Juszczyk is out. So that's going to be a tough. That's going to be a tough deal for the 49ers without their all-pro wide receiver, all-pro running back. But they do have McCaffrey. They're probably going to implement more of a package with him as well. So Deebo Samuel out. It's a pick'em game, 42 the total. They have not gone over the total, except last week Kansas City's game went over the total. But the 49ers under are 2-5 and only 1-2, 1-3 on the road, whereas the Rams are 1-5 over under, 1-3 at home. So 42 might be a lot of points. The way the 49ers play physical defense against the Rams, that's going to be an interesting proposition there for them as well. All right, so once again, the afternoon games, Tennessee at Houston. Tennessee 1-39. Titans off to a 4-2 start. The Texans are 1-5. are 1-4-1, including that tie. The Giants are visiting Seattle. Seattle's on a roll right now. Seattle playing well. They've won 2 in a row, including that win at the Chargers last week. Giants are 6-1. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They've got some injuries, but they're coming in as a 3-point underdog. 6-1 against the spread for the Giants this year in their 6-1 game. So they've either covered as a favorite or they've covered as an underdog. 44 the total. Seattle can score. They've scored a lot of points. They've gone over three times in the last 4 games. They've given up 30 points a game, 25 to 30 points a game. Giants just don't score. So it's going to be interesting to see the contrasting styles here between the Seahawks and the Giants. Indianapolis going with Sam Erlinger, -3 against Washington, 39.5. The Colts 3-3. They've lost twice to Tennessee. In fact, they are right now. That was their last loss, their only loss. They won before that. They won the week before. They lost to the Titans. They won the week before. They beat up on the Jacksonville Jaguars 34-27, but they gave up a lot of points in that game as well. So those are the last 2 games for them. And Matt Ryan is out, so the offense might be a little limited with Sam Erlinger back there. But he's been the backup for a few years, and so he's well aware of that system. And Frank Reich has him all set up for the game against the Commanders. Taylor Heineke, who almost beat the Buccaneers in a wild card game 2 years ago in the wild card game, able to get going with the game. So Heineke starting for Washington, Indianapolis with Sam Erlinger, pair of backup quarterbacks. And then the Rams and 49ers pick them, 42 the total, 3-3 for the Rams. They're in second place. They're in second place behind the Seattle Seahawks, only a half game back in terms of wins. Seattle has played 7 games. The Rams have only played 6. 49ers are 3-4, and Arizona 3-4 in that division. All right. Best bets for the afternoon games. Here we go. Seattle Seahawks -3. I like them to win over the Giants. They're playing well. Just don't know how good the Giants offense is going to be going into Seattle this afternoon. That's a 4:25 game on Fox. The Rams 49ers. I just don't see a lot of points being scored in the Rams 49ers game. So under 42 the play. All right, let's get back before I give you the Buffalo Bills officially. Let's go back and preview the Bills and Packers. Packers on a 3-game losing streak. They lost to both New York teams, and they lost to Washington last week. London at home to the Jets, and on the road at Washington last week. They're an 11-point underdog to Buffalo. Aaron Rodgers has not lost in prime time, but this is not a regular team. This is not the Green Bay Packers from a few years ago. Buffalo at -11, 47 the total. Sunday night football, Bills are 5-1 on a 3-game winning streak. The Packers have lost 3 straight, including to the Commanders last week, and we said in the Jets and Giants. So it's been a rough 3 weeks for Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur. Buffalo 4-1-1 against the spread, but 1-5 only in the over/under. Their defense is really good. The way the Packers' offense has struggled, Green Bay 2-5 against the spread, 3-4 on the over/unders. And the way Green Bay's offense is going, this might be a tough matchup for the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers, which is why, as we said earlier, I like the Buffalo Bills laying the 11 points. So once again, as we go through it, we're going to take a break. We'll hit the NBA. The TVs will be off here for the sound in the Brit Sports Pub and Patio, but come on down. Come on down to the Brit Sports Pub and Patio for NFL Sunday Ticket. Kickoffs are about to start in about 5 minutes or so. Come on down, enjoy the NFL Sunday Ticket. Mention you heard the podcast, or mention the podcast, you get 10% off the entire bill through Sunday Ticket. So that goes for the 10 o'clock West Coast time and the 1 o'clock West Coast time. So all through 4:30 on the West Coast until Sunday Night Football starts. You get 10% off your entire bill. All right, one more time here. The early games that are going off right now: Dallas and Chicago, Vegas at New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Miami at Detroit, Minnesota hosts Arizona, the Jets are hosting New England, and then Tennessee will be at Houston in the afternoon, Seattle and the Giants in Seattle this afternoon. Indianapolis will host Washington as well at 4:25, and the big game, the Rams and 49ers at 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific, out in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium. And then Sunday Night Football, Buffalo -11 over Green Bay. We'll talk about Monday Night Football tomorrow, but we'll get into it a little bit after the break, and then we'll talk about the NBA and college football after the break. We're going to turn the TVs off, get the games on for the people that are here. But we'll come back here online. Stay with us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter to follow along with the VPartySports Podcast. Basti Vada Party here at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio, downtown San Jose. Come join us, come watch some football, and get 10% off your bill. Back in 30 seconds. Basti Vada Party here at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. This is the VPartySports Podcast. All right, we'll take a break here. Previewed all the early games. About 5 minutes till kickoff, just to go over the best bets again if you didn't get them. The Bears plus 10 versus the Cowboys. Las Vegas and New Orleans over 48.5 in their game today. That's going to start in 5 minutes. Arizona plus 4 at Minnesota. The Jets plus 3 against the New England Patriots at home. The Jets are 5-2, a game back of the Buffalo Bills. And then the Philadelphia Eagles are minus 11 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are beaten up. Afternoon games, Seattle minus 3, the Rams and 49ers under 42, and Buffalo minus 11. All right, let's get to college football here. As we said, the college game yesterday there were very interesting college games yesterday. We have the Ohio State Buckeyes. They came back to beat Penn State. They didn't cover. TCU now 8-0. Georgia beats up on Florida, but they didn't cover. Oregon beats Cal. They were favored by 17. K-State rolled 48-0 over Oklahoma State. Tennessee dominated Kentucky 44-6. USC won but didn't cover at Arizona. And then Stanford got rolled up by UCLA. UCLA covered at 16.5 pretty easy. That game was over. And then Michigan did not cover against Michigan State. They were 23-point favorites. They did break it open in the second half, but they beat them 29-22. As I roll through some of the scores here in the FBS. And Ohio State not covering. That last touchdown by Penn State made a lot of Penn State and Nittany Lions fans happy. TCU, a 10-point win over West Virginia. Notre Dame, an upset at Syracuse. Arkansas over Auburn. Oklahoma State over Iowa State. Then the afternoon games, Miami and Virginia. Miami 4 overtimes, 14-12. They are struggling. Georgia, Oregon, Kansas State, Illinois, 17th in the country, having their way with the Big Ten right now. They haven't played Ohio State yet. They haven't played Michigan yet. So we'll see how they go. South Carolina lost at number 25 from Missouri. We mentioned all the other ones. Arizona State over Colorado, and then USC over Arizona. Ole Miss came back and beat Texas A&M. They were a 3-point favorite. They pushed. So what's the bottom line for the NCAA weekend? 47 games this weekend from Thursday through yesterday. The underdogs still roll. You just can't roll up on those favorites. 17, 29, and 1 this weekend, and that includes all the major conferences. San Jose State did not cover. They were a 24.5-point favorite against Nevada last night. Hawaii did not cover. Hawaii covered against Wyoming. Wyoming was an 11.5-point favorite last night. So just remember, it's hard to pick favorites in college football as it is to pick in the NFL. By the way, just checking my record for the NFL this year, I'm rolling about 69.8%. So if you want to win, take the picks that I have today. I have a good feeling about the Bears. I have a good feeling about the Cardinals. And I have a good feeling about the Eagles. And I also have a good feeling about the Jets. And then Seattle, the under in the Rams and Niners game, as well as the Buffalo Bills tonight. All right, let's go back to Thursday night here for a second. Back to the NFL. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now 3-5. They're in second place behind the Falcons, but they have the tiebreaker over Atlanta. So if they win, if the Falcons win today, they'll move into first place over Tampa Bay. 3 straight losses for Brady, 325 yards with a touchdown, but only 44 yards rushing to Baltimore rushing for 231 yards. We said that Tampa Bay was last in rushing defense on Friday, and sure enough, they proved it. 231 yards rushing for Baltimore. They're 5-3, and they lead the AFC North. They have the tiebreaker over Cincinnati. Cincinnati plays on Monday night. They are hosting Cleveland. As we look at that, Cincinnati a 3-point favorite at Cleveland, 45.5 the total. Huge loss for the Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase is out. He'll be out for the next 3 to 4 weeks. He's got a bad hip, but they're 4-3 behind Baltimore, 5-3. Baltimore did win on Thursday night, as we said, but they also lost the tiebreaker, losing 19-17 to the Ravens. Browns have lost everything straight, but they've all been close games, 23-20 to the Ravens last week, and they will have Monday Night Football on Halloween in Cleveland. Don't you think the dog pound and the dog pound mask and everybody wearing the dog pound mask will be all ready for Cincinnati? That is a huge rivalry game, even though the Bengals are 4-3 and the Browns are 2-5. It is a big-time rivalry, and don't think that Cleveland won't be ready for them. Jacoby Brissett, Nick Chubb leads the NFL in rushing. Cincinnati has had an awful rushing game to start this year, but Joe Burrow has bailed them out. But without Jamar Chase, got to find Tyler Boyd, got to find Higgins, got to find guys like that, got to find their other receivers to complement the loss of Jamar Chase, a true talent in the NFL. All right, and then we mentioned the NCAA. Underdogs ruled this weekend in the NCAA, 17-29-1 this weekend. All right, one more break. We're going to hit the NBA, talk about the NBA a little bit, and we'll get to the lines for today. Don't forget the Brit Sports Pub and Patio here in downtown San Jose, 173 West Santa Clara Street. Come in during NFL Sunday Ticket Sundays. Mention you heard the podcast. You mentioned the podcast, you get 10% off your entire bill. That includes alcohol. That includes all the food you want to eat. Great games today, 7 early, 4 late. And they're just about getting ready to set up, and we will have the scores for you. We'll get some updates for you as the game goes on. But in 30 seconds, we will have the NBA for today. We'll have the review of the NBA from yesterday as well, too. Vasu VParty here. This is the VParty Sports Podcast, live from the Brit Sports Pub and Patio, downtown San Jose on this Sunday morning. All right, welcome back to the VParty Sports Podcast here, live from the Brit Sports Pub and Patio, downtown San Jose, 173 West Santa Clara Street, right by the arena in downtown San Jose. Come on down and watch NFL Sunday Ticket. Down here, get 10% off your bill if you mention the podcast, the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. Mention the podcast, get 10% off your bill during the NFL Sunday Ticket. All right, yesterday, the NBA favorites were 2-5, the over-under. The over-under was 6-1 in favor of the over. 8 games on Sunday, including the Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers, Golden State and Detroit, Phoenix and Houston, and then Washington and Boston. We'll get to the NBA games here. The NBA lines in a second. You'll see them pop up on the ticker. Last night in the NBA, the Kings got the first win. They beat the Miami Heat in Sacramento. The Warriors lose in overtime to Charlotte. 119-113. The Kings over the Heat, 120-113. Steph's only returned to his hometown of Charlotte, 120-113. Overtime loss for the Warriors. They've struggled coming out of the gate a little bit. The Nets are 1-6. I believe I saw that right. The Nets are 1-5 after losing to the Indiana Pacers, 11-point favorite last night, 125-116. 76ers have won 2 in a row. They beat Toronto Friday night. They're now 3-4. They beat up on the Chicago Bulls 114-109 in Chicago. The Bucks continue to stay undefeated. That was one of my picks yesterday. The Milwaukee Bucks 123 to 115 over the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks now 4-2. Excuse me. The Thunder 117-111 upset over the Dallas Mavericks. They were a 10.5 point underdog as well too. And then the Utah Jazz continue to play well. They're 5-2. They're 5-2. And third in the conference in the West. They're 5-2. They beat the Memphis Grizzlies, who are now 4-2. 125 to 124. 124 to 123 over Memphis. So a big night in the NBA. Like I said, two favorites won. 6 favorites did not. As I see that again, I think I mentioned that. Yeah, 2-5. 2-5 on the over. 2-5 on the spread. 6-1 on the over and under. 8 games on Sunday. You see the ticker going across. We'll go through it in a second here in terms of today's games, and I'll give you the best bets for that before we wrap up. Before we wrap up the NBA, you'll see this right now coming up right now. There you go. Clippers are a 3-point favorite. They start early today, 3:30 Eastern, 3 o'clock Eastern in Los Angeles. -3, 225.5. They're going up against the Rams game. I don't know why they're playing it. Oh, because the Lakers are playing. They share Staples Center, so the Lakers are playing tonight. The winless Lakers still, by the way. 3 over New Orleans, 225.5. The Celtics are 8.5 over Washington. 221.5. Boston lost to Cleveland on Friday night. Washington lost to Indiana on Friday night. The Cavaliers, who beat Boston, 4-point favorite over the Knicks, 221.5. Cleveland playing well right now. They are right now in the East. They are up near the top. They're 4-1. They're game back of the Milwaukee Bucks. The Golden State Warriors, after their loss to Charlotte last night, go to Detroit. 7 on the road as a favorite, 229.5. Minnesota has played well this year. Minnesota 4-2. They've got the Twin Towers with Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, 5.5 point favorite at San Antonio. Don't sleep on San Antonio. 238.5. You're a better person than I if you're going to take the over at 238.5 this early in the season. But the overs have come through. Dallas, off their loss of Oklahoma City, will host the 1-win Orlando Magic team. 9.5 point favorite, 213 in total. Phoenix, after nearly losing to the Pelicans on Friday night, they have Houston. 12.5 point favorite, 227.5. And then Denver, 3.5 point favorite at the Lakers, 228. All right, let's give you our best bets for the NBA today. Only 2 games today in the NBA. The Pelicans +3, and they go at noon time on the West Coast. The Cavaliers -4 against the Knicks. Those are the 2 best bets of the day. Going into it, got a lot of NFL action to go after today. Let's get you some NFL scores here early. The Panthers, Falcons, Bears, Cowboys, no score. The Lions have a 7-0 lead on the Dolphins. And then the Raiders, Saints, Cardinals, Vikings, Patriots, and Jets, Steelers, and Eagles, all scoreless. The Broncos beat the Jaguars 21-17. A big day for Russell Wilson, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. A comeback, another Russell Wilson patented comeback. They only rushed for 101 yards. Latavius Murray had 46 of those. But Greg Dulcich, UCLA tight end, rookie, 4 catches, 87 yards. He was a big receiver for Russell Wilson when they played at Wembley today. Jerry Jeudy had a touchdown for them, and Melvin Gordon had their other touchdown, as well as Murray got the last touchdown for the game winner. Jacksonville had a 10-0 lead going into the half. It was 10-7. Melvin Gordon scored 14-7. Jacksonville looked like they were going to have the lead going into the final few minutes as Travis Etienne, who rushed for 156 yards of the 191 that Jacksonville got. They fall 2-6. The Broncos are 3-5, trying to stay reasonably close in the AFC West, reasonably close in the playoff spot as well too. But the Jacksonville Jaguars lose to the Denver Broncos 21-17. So they were in London this afternoon. The rest of the NFL Week 8 action started right now with 7 games. They're all in progress right now. There are 4 games in the afternoon to go at it. I want to thank Jasper and the staff at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. Don't forget, 10% off the NFL Sunday Ticket. During the NFL Sunday Ticket, if you mention the podcast, You receive 10% off your bill during Sunday tickets on Sunday. We're here for 4 more weeks on the NFL Sunday ticket. Sundays, 6 weeks for the NFL Sunday ticket that we're here at the VPartySports Podcast. You receive 10% off your bill during Sunday ticket hours. Look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Don't forget podcast during the week. VPartySports Podcast. We'll get to all the NFL, the NBA, Monday Night Football, a little bit of NHL as well too. One more note: the World Series last night, the Astros win 5-2 behind Framber Valdez, and his 6 1/3 innings, Alex Bregman, a 2-run home run, 4 pitches by Zach Wheeler, led to 3 doubles. Altuve 3 for 4, now 7 for 41 in the postseason, but he was awful, 4 for 37 coming into the game. The series now tied at 1 game apiece. A day off today. Tomorrow, Game 3 will be in Philadelphia, and it will be Lance McCullers Jr. going up against Noah Syndergaard. Ranger Suarez, who was the original Game 3 starter, came in relief in Game 1 in the 10th inning, was able to get the save. And so Noah Syndergaard gets the start in Game 3, probably Suarez in Game 4 for Philadelphia. But the series tied at 1 game apiece. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox. From Philadelphia, it'll be Game 3 of the 2022 World Series. All right, Aussie Battle Party here. Thanks to everybody at the Brit Sports Pub and Patio. Thanks to Jasper, the owner. Come on down. NFL football all day. The NFL Sunday ticket, 10% off the entire bill if you mention the podcast, if you mention the VPartySports Podcast live down here. You can also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks to everybody for being on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. I'm Aussie Battle Party. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy your football. Good luck with your games. Good luck with your fantasy sports. And we will see you. We will see you during the week. Check us out during the week. We'll have a show tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific, before Monday Night Football and before Major League Baseball's World Series tonight. Of course, there's NBA and NHL to talk about. I'm Aussie Battle Party. This has been the VPartySports Podcast. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your Sunday. Take care, everybody.